What's up, guys? Clock's on the stove. We're back. We got a little MMA pod for you following that. Probably, arguably, card of the year. That just was the Usman Colby card this year. Was that this year or was that last year? I think that was end of last year.
That Usman Colby?
Yeah, the second fight. I think
Yeah,
it was
last
end
year.
of last year. Yeah, so this
Yeah, that was
this
last
probably is card of the year. This UFC
year.
280
Yeah.
that just happened. Real quick, right before we dive into that, I mentioned in the last pod, Anthony Rumble Johnson passed away. And for you guys that don't know about him, I want to just give a quick little tribute to him. First and foremost, before I dive in, when I was 8 years old, no, I was 8 years old. The UFC had their first fight in in um in Tampa, and it was Kenny Florian versus Joe Lozon, and Anthony Johnson was on the card. It was at the USF Sundome, 2008, April 2nd, 2008. I'm with my dad. We go to the fights. That morning, we went to a fighter warehouse. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that or know what that is, but it used to be like the only like apparel for MMA. Nothing else existed. It was like fighter warehouse and tap out. That was it. And they used to have a spot in the mall, the Wiregrass Mall, I think maybe. I don't know. They used to have a spot there. And I went that morning with my dad. I met Sean Shirk, former UFC welterweight world champion, and Jens Pulver, the first ever UFC world champion, lightweight. Met them that morning. Awesome, like a kid, living my dream as a child. Then that night, I go to these fights with my dad, and in between fights, my dad and I go to just like bathroom break and get drinks, like just like replenish, just like in between fights. And as we're walking back into the arena, so like we're in the arena, but like we're like on the outside, like concession and stuff. We're going in back into the doors to find our seats. Anthony Johnson just won first round knockout in 51 seconds, walks through the doors the same time we're going to leave. And he's surrounded by people, like probably like 50 people following him. Just like he has like a coach with him, he has a manager with him, he's got like cameras in his face, people trying to take photos with him. And I'm walking like literally we're like maybe a foot apart, just like walking into each other. I'm like, oh my gosh, can I get a photo with you? And he grabs me, pushes all these guys away, like grown men trying to get photos with him. He pushes them all away and he points to my dad. He goes, get a photo. And he drops to a knee and takes a photo with me as a little kid. And he's like, good luck in life, man. Like, blah, blah, blah. Like, fist bumps me and walks away. And I will never, ever, ever forget that moment for the rest of my entire life. I will never
Yeah.
forget it. Such a wholesome fucking dude. Such a great guy. Like, he had no business to take that photo of me. I mean, there was 50 people there that wanted to, but he saw me as a young kid. He was like, I'm gonna take a photo of him. Pushed everyone out of the way and tells my dad to take a photo. And just drops to me. Super awesome guy. His career was crazy. I think he had the most missed weights ever in the UFC. He was cutting, dude. I don't know if you guys ever seen this dude. He was massive, huge. He was cutting to 170 from like 230, like terrible. They told him like you can't fight at welterweight anymore. But I mean, dude, his resume alone, spectacular. I mean, he beat he lost Kevin Burns, gets his rematch, beats Kevin Burns. He lost Koscheck, but he beat Dan Hardy, fought Vitor Belfort, beat Phil Davis, beat Nagano, excuse me, not Nagano, beat Nogueira, beat Alexander Gustafsson, beat Jim Manua, beat Ryan Bader, beat Glover Teixeira. His only losses at light heavyweight were Daniel Cormier. That's it. And he looked great in the second Cormier fight. 2 title shots. He was always rumored to be the guy to beat John Jones. Goes into bodybuilding, comes out of bodybuilding, goes back into fighting at Bellator, and passes away suddenly with a very bad illness. So yeah, I just don't want his legacy to go unknown because, like I said, he's definitely one of the first inspirations I ever had to be a fighter, and a moment I'll never forget for the rest of my life. But yeah, diving into the happy news now. Starting us off on our card that we're going to at least cover, we had Aaron Blanchfield fighting Molly Meatball McCain. Molly McCain, obviously extremely hyped. Her and Patty got this I don't even know how to describe it. Like this like weird, we're British, but we talk shit kind of vibe. Both sponsored by Barstool, Dave Portnoy, Big Cat were there. Brought a lot of hype. And the thing is too, is that people understand this is her first like really big fight. I mean, yeah, she's fought in like big scenes and stuff, but like this is the first fight that was like her first like hard opponent, and it showed. It showed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
she got taken down off rip, and then ate 93 strikes and got
Yeah.
mauled.
Yeah. Um, the thing about Erin Blanchfield is she's 23 years old. Like she is uber young, like still incredibly young. And the fact that her grappling is like that level for a women's flyweight is kind of ridiculous. Because Molly had all this hype. She had pretty much had her way with everyone she had fought before. But I mean, when we talk about first real opponent, like this was like a legitimate ranked fighter potentially in the flyweight women's division. Like she is
10-1, like yeah.
yeah, she's going to be very dangerous there. It's funny because people were talking shit because in Molly's interview she was like, skews don't tap, like we just go out, and then people are like,
Yeah.
oh well, you tapped out, and I was like, people got to understand there's a huge difference between going to sleep and having your arm ripped off your
Yeah,
body because like getting
getting a Kimura that possibly could end your career. That you could like if it's torn bad enough, you never fight again.
yeah, and trust me, she rode that thing out for a good amount of time. Like she definitely did some serious damage to her shoulder by
Yeah.
trying to fight it. And she was like, "Yeah, I could definitely like pull my arm out of this." I was like, "No, you can't. Like you're gonna have your arm ripped from your body, and it's gonna be very painful." And that's kind of like I was kind of like mad seeing people being like, "Oh, well, she said she wouldn't tap." I'm like, dude, yeah, she probably wouldn't tap if she was getting put to sleep. Like anyone could get put to sleep. I was like, tell me if you like one of your limbs to be ripped off your body. Like I would love to know how that would feel for a little
Dude,
bit.
even like you said though, even though she tapped, she went far. Like she really tried not to tap. Like it got to the point where I was watching it and I was with Nick Vans and Donuts and I was like, oh, I can't watch. I was like, oh, it's gonna pop. Like she let it go. Like she fought that shit. My
Yeah,
shoulders are not flexible enough to even go. Like that's all I'm giving. Like I can't even. Yeah,
yeah.
but she's a savage. I don't think this fight makes Molly look bad. I don't think it hurts her position at all. I mean, dude, she's still probably the top five biggest names in women's MMA and one of the biggest names in MMA. I think she just really wanted it. She kind of pulled a me and she really wanted to prove her worth and jumped into a big fight too soon. I think she should have taken maybe
Yeah.
one more cupcake and worked her way. And also, dude, like when you're her level, let's be honest, she's never gonna touch a title. She's just gonna be a big name fight like Barstool Sporting. Like and there's nothing wrong with that at all. I'm not bashing that. But kind of pick your fights a little better. You know your ground game's not that good, maybe not go after Aaron Blanchfield, you know. But hey, nothing but respect for her. Blanchfield's a monster, and I'm actually very excited to see her climb the ropes and start working. Anyone that thinks women fighting's boring, you're stupid. There's amazingly talented women. And if you think women can't fight, come to my gym and I can point you to 4 or 5 women that would beat your ass. All right. But yeah, there's not much to talk about there. Blanchfield took her down, completely destroyed her. That's all I got to say for that fight. Zach, you want to bring us into our next one with Ryan Spann and Dominic Reyes?
Yeah, just real quick before that, Blanchfield jumped into number 10 in the flyweight rankings.
Oh
I don't
yeah.
really know what's next for her
Oh yeah.
right
Yeah, I
now.
don't know the rankings.
So right now I can go over the rankings. Valentina Shevchenko is still the champ there. Fiorat, who just won her last fight, is still in the number one spot.
This is
Uh,
flyweight, right?
yes. Talia Santos at 2, Caitlin Chukagian at 3, Lauren Murphy 4, Grasso 5, Andrade 6. Honestly, give Blanchfield Andrade. I want to see if
See,
she's
like
ready for that jump.
I was gonna say the same thing, but Andrade's fighting Murphy in January.
Mm,
That fight would have been good though. That's two great ground fighters. Like, but
yeah.
you could fight the winner.
We're giving her that jump from 10 just immediately to the winner of 4 and 6, though. Like that's,
Yeah. You right.
I mean, honestly, whoever's open ahead of her. If Jennifer Maya is open or even Lee at this point,
Yeah, I
just
think
feed her
Andrea
to
Lee's
her.
not a bad fight for her either.
Yeah. Give her someone that either,
Maya's fighting this Saturday. So I think really her only option is Andrea Lee. I don't think anyone 7 or up is going to take her. She's a deadly 10. That's the problem. She's kind of in that like Islam situation. It's not
yeah.
just like she's a hard 10. And and like when you're that high up, that's like a kind of a lose-lose fight, you know?
Yeah. Because the way I see it is if Dana really wants to see if she is championship level, like if she is next in line to take on Shevchenko, number one, she has to fight someone with good enough takedown defense to see if she can still have her way with her. And number two, she has to fight someone who has, I guess, stand up that forces her to keep it on the feet. And if
Yo,
she can at least
this is a
compete in that
fun
regard.
fight, Zach. What if she fights the winner of Tracy Cortez and Rebus, who fight on the December 3rd Orlando card?
Tracy Cortez
That's Brian
and
Ortega's girl.
oh
That'd be a really good fight. And then the winner of that fight could maybe fight. Then you start giving them a big fight.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
I
because
like that.
Blanchfield after Molly, that was kind of just like we're gonna build your name off another big name, and then we'll
Yeah,
see where
no,
the road
yeah. They kind of it wasn't like they gave Molly to the fire. It was kind of like if Molly it was a win-win situation. Molly beats
Yeah,
Blanchfield, Molly's legit. She beat a really good fighter. We can start feeding her top five. Molly
yeah,
loses the way she did. It's like Blanchfield's legit as shit. And Molly's image. I don't think this hurts Molly's image. I really don't. Because I'm pretty
yeah,
confident. I'm not gonna state 100%, but I'm pretty confident it was not a full camp fight. She kind of took it not like super last minute, but she kind of took it on like let's fucking do this, you know?
yeah. I agree. Moving into our next fight, though, we have our next fight, which was on the prelims, which was Dominic Reyes versus Ryan Spann. Look, the more that I watched Dominic Reyes fight, the more I realized that his career was simply built on giving John Jones a really good test. Now, a lot of people can argue he won that Jones fight, and I think that's literally going to be Dom's entire career. It's going to be like, oh, well, he almost beat John Jones. Like,
Yeah,
bro,
the
no one gives a
Dom's
shit.
gonna be like, "Hey kids, remember back in the day, I almost beat John
Like, okay, buddy, but we also watched Ryan Spann literally deck the shit out of you, and
with
you
a
go to sleep
jab, with a
with a
fucking
jab.
jab."
I will admit though, that jab, I watched every muscle in his face just like get forced back into his skull. He got the shit kicked out of him.
He got
And
murked.
now here's the thing that I have with fighters. A lot of the time, guys will go on losing streaks, and people will throw the question out there of whether or not these fighters are truly done. Like, oh, like should these guys consider retirement or seeking contracts in other fight organizations? Here's the difference. When you look at Michael Chandler, who's lost a couple of his last fights outside of the Ferguson, he's putting up wars every fight and consistently showing that give or take a punch here, he could probably walk out with a win in those fights. Dom's last four fights, he is getting brutally
Yeah,
murdered.
he's not even
Like,
close.
yeah, like it's getting to the point where like he's not even covering his chin well. His stand-up's not there with some of these young guys up and
Like,
coming. It
dude,
looks
think
like he's
about
not
it. What was it? It was Jan baptized him in the second
baptized
round,
him.
and then Jiri with a spinning elbow, and then Ryan Spann with a jab knockout. Like he's
Yeah,
getting
like
murdered.
yeah, he's literally the training bot with no arms that's like
Yeah.
sitting there in your gym's corner that you just walk over to and just slap the fuck out of a couple times. Like that is what Dom's turning into. Like I don't know what like could possibly be happening in Dom's camps because there's no way he spars like this in camp and his coaches are like, yeah, you ready.
Oh, and the thing is, too, is bro, what he did part of his camp with Pereira. Like you, like what?
Did Pereira not take his head off like
Yeah,
with
like
like a
I don't
50% jab?
understand. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't think Ryan Spann is bad. I just don't think he's gonna ever do anything. Like I don't think he's like anything crazy good.
Okay.
He's got power though. He does have power, but
Yes.
he didn't have like crazy good movement or like completely like dismantled Dom. He just fucking nailed him, and
Yeah.
Dom just
No,
walked up to him like this.
that is also true. Another thing about Ryan Spann in his post fight interview that he said that really just kind of threw me off, and I know it was like the most bold faced lie I've ever
I didn't
heard.
hear it. I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it.
Dude, this man in his post fight interview looks right at I think it was Joe Rogan in the ring doing
Yeah, it was
the
Joe.
commentary. Yeah, Joe asked him, he's like, how was your like preparation leading up to this fight? And he was like, I've never trained in my life. And I was like, bro, what?
Bro,
I was
shut the
like, I was like,
fuck
I was like, okay, okay, Ryan, maybe you've never
up.
trained for a specific fighter's like repertoire or like their fight style. I'll give you that. But to say you've never trained is like saying, oh, I've never stepped in a gym. Like, oh, I've never
Yeah,
thrown.
yeah,
Like, shut the fuck up, bro. Like,
yeah. Shut up, dude.
we know you went to the gym every goddamn day to prepare for this fight. Now, did you train for Dom specifically? Absolutely not.
You think
You
there's a
probably didn't need to.
chance that like what he meant by that was like in his mind it's not training to him because he loves it or something or like
Regardless, you just convinced a bunch of casuals that you just walked into the ring at fight night
yeah,
and you
now
were
you're
like, I'm
gonna
gonna
have
whoop.
so many casuals be like, I could fight Ryan Spann does it. I watch UFC. Like,
That
oh
always 6'4". He's 6'4",
yeah.
like 230. Like I'm 6'4", 230. Like I could throw a jab. Like bro, get
Yeah,
the fuck
man.
out
Like
of
I
here.
said, I don't think he's bad. I just let's start off with Dom. Okay. Nothing but respect for him. He's only fought bad motherfuckers, regardless of him losing. He's only fought the best. I do think his time in the UFC is done though. and I don't have anything
Mhm.
against him personally. I'm not like a Dom Reyes fan or a Dom Reyes hater. Like I kind of fucked with him. I thought he was pretty dope. I thought he was gonna beat Jan when they fought for the UFC title after he got vacated. I just don't see anything good coming out of staying in the UFC. Say you do stay and you either fight bums or you get knocked out again. You're gonna lose money. You're gonna lose sponsors. You're gonna lose following. There's nothing good coming out of that. Go to Bellator and run the division, dude. Like, why not? Who gives a shit? You had your prime. You have a good following. Like, go there. Fight guys that aren't as good. Now, obviously, the top guys are still fucking legit. But you'll be a top 5 guy in Bellator rather than what you're at 12 right now in the UFC, and you're probably gonna lose that. I just don't see any. I don't see any scenarios that work out for Dom staying in the UFC personally. And this is not shit talking. This is just me giving my opinion. For
Yeah.
Ryan Spann, oh, I'm sorry, Zach, you go.
No, no, no. I'm completely with you. Just,
For
I was just
Ryan
gonna go ahead.
Spann, it's kind of interesting because I'm pretty sure you've lost to a lot of these guys in the top 10. Um, well, my phone just decided not to assist me. All right, let's look at this. Who has he fought? So you beat Reyes, you beat Kudalaba, you lose to Smith, you lose to Johnny Walker. Oh, yeah, you're kind of all right. I mean, you could throw him. So you're at 10. You could give him Vulcan. You could give him Paul Craig. I think anyone Nikita Krylov.
Paul Craig is fighting Johnny Walker.
Yes, you were correct. So I think um where's Johnny Walker ranked? At 11? That makes no sense. He
11.
literally beat Ryan Spann. I think you give him Vulcan, man.
It's because I think it's because Johnny Walker lost to, or no, he won his last fight.
I have
Or
a
did he
Vulcan
lose?
lost. Dude, the light heavyweight division is so fucking hard to pick, bro.
Okay, here's the thing. Nikita Krylov doesn't have a fight scheduled right now, and Volkan Ozdemir doesn't have a fight either. Paul
Yeah,
Craig
but
obviously is fighting Johnny Walker.
Krylov just beat Vulcan, so I don't think you give a Ryan Spann who's on a 2-fight win streak, finish streak, especially a guy that lost in Oldemir. I think the only fight that makes sense is Nikita, but Nikita's definitely going to try to fight a guy above him. Oh, dude, this division is so fucking weird. I honestly have no idea who's
Um,
next for Ryan Spann. Maybe take a guy behind you again, but that doesn't make any sense. This
honestly,
division sucks. I'm not gonna lie. It's the worst division in the UFC.
yeah, let's be completely honest. After Anthony Smith, there's a maybe
After
Jamal Hill.
no,
There's a
after dude, no. After Rochick, there's a big drop.
yeah,
The Jiri, Glover, Jan, Magomed, and Rochick, dogs. They're gross. I'm not taking any. I think all of those guys could beat each other. I think they could all beat each other. I think they're all dogs. Jamal Hill and Anthony Smith are like my Michael Chandler. They're like they can hang with those guys, but they don't really beat them.
yeah,
After that, it's like who the fuck are these guys? Like
yeah. It's
Donnie
just
Walker is supposed to be the next up and coming. He gets not he has a glass chin. Dom Reyes, same thing. Jimmy Crute. Jimmy Crute's good. He's just young. He's like 25. Khalil Roundtree. I think he's good, and then he fights someone good and gets his ass beat. Like it just I don't know. It's John Jones and DC carry that division. Even when Anthony Johnson was there and Alexander Gustafsson. There was a time this was the most badass division ever, and right now it's not there. For Ryan Spann, I guess you kind of wait, right? Yeah, I think you just do a waiting game, maybe.
yeah, just see what the UFC has in store for you. If they want to try to build you, they'll give you a fighter to kind of put your name on the map. Unfortunately,
He's a little old
if
to
that
start
is the
building though. He's
case,
already 31. He's kind of got to stay active.
yeah. So if he wants to fight now, honestly, Jamal Hill doesn't have anything going on for him. See what he's up to.
Yeah, but I don't think Jamal Hill just won. I don't think he's gonna take a 10.
He went against Santos.
I mean, he
Hmm.
might he might if they give him a bag in a main event.
Yeah, screw it. I could see it.
I wouldn't be
Out.
opposed. Honestly, it'd
Yeah,
probably be a good fight. They're both heavy hitters that have good boxing. It wouldn't be bad.
yeah, yeah. Wouldn't be bad. And Span has decent ground game. Like that's where his fighting style kind of like originated from. Like let me see.
Well,
I'm
Jamal Hill
not
has no ground game.
Yeah, Ryan Spann, 12 wins by submission, 6 by knockout. So he's primarily
Oh, he's kind of
a
one verse.
grappler.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's primarily a grappler. And now his striking is kind of like grown. Like he
Yeah.
said, he's finally started to work on that.
So our next
Outside of that,
fight.
though,
Oh, sorry.
yeah,
Yeah. Our next fight did not see this coming. Hanato Macchiano, Mochiano, whatever the hell his name is, submits
Moicano.
Brad Riddell first round with a rear naked choke. Feel your pain, Brad. Been there. Um, dude, it just weird. I feel like the last three fights I've watched Brad Riddell, he looks like he doesn't like he looks unprepared. Like the last three fights I've seen him fight, and I always think I like him. His fight style is usually electric, but the last three times I've watched him fight, when he goes into the cage, he looks nervous as shit. And it's okay to be nervous as shit. Every fighter in the entire world of fighting ever is nervous when they go into the cage. Okay. But you can't show your nervousness, especially in the UFC. He looks
Yeah.
nervous the last three fights I've watched, and he doesn't fight his fight. He followed Hanato the whole fight. Whatever Hanato did, he just followed. He was a step behind. He was worse in the striking. You're a brawler, bro. You need to be brawling. The fights you win is because you brawl. He didn't brawl with them. He got it. It got ugly. He got dropped, and he got submitted. What's I don't really think there's much more to say to that fight. It was just like he was just a step behind the entire time. And the thing is, Zach, is it makes no sense to me because you have Carlos Ulberg, Dan Hooker, Brad Riddell, and Izzy all in the same card, and they're all doing fight camp together out of the same camp. So why are you not like what makes you nervous? That would get me fucking like my confidence would be through the roof if I'm in that scenario.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It was really weird. I so I had Moicano winning going into the fight, just because usually those taller, lengthier, stronger grapplers tend to have their way with smaller guys. And like you said, Riddell's kind of a bruiser brawler type of build. He's kind of in your face, gonna work you on the inside, and it looked like he just didn't really care to get inside Hanato at all. Like he just really didn't care getting inside his reach, trying to dictate the fight. He was kind of comfortable with just being like, hey, I'll do whatever you want to do, and I'll just try to beat you at that game. But at the end of the day, it really didn't look like he was trying to win in any regard. Like,
He was very hesitant, I would say.
yeah, and what I thought my prediction for the fight was, Riddell was going to have to get inside his reach and press him. And because in doing so, he would get a little too close, Moicano would just shoot a takedown. And because he's lengthier, he can have his way with the limbs. Like he could just, grab a wrist, pull it all the way to the side, kind of get his hooks in, and then just kind of ride out the rest of the fight. But he didn't really need to. He only really went to the ground after he got that knockdown. I don't know, man. Really weird for Hooker. Hanato actually just jumped into the lightweight rankings, though. He is up to 13th now from being unranked, jumping Conor McGregor and Tony Ferguson, but
Dude,
those two guys are out.
honestly, I think you do two things here for Hanato. You give him Dan Hooker, which I would
Mm,
love that fight. That'd be a very fun fight to watch. On top of that, Dan Hooker fights out of the same camp as Brad Riddell. So now you're like, all right. So you're like, all right, fuck it. Let's fight the next guy. Or you give him Jalen Turner because they're both like
mm.
tall, lanky dudes. And Jalen Turner
Honestly,
also just beat Brad Riddell with the first round finish.
knowing, mm, yeah, knowing Hooker, since he just won, he's probably going to want to fight someone higher. I don't think they'll.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I'd
no one
give.
higher is going to take Hooker right now. All these guys higher have just fought or have fights.
I mean, Arman, he kind of just lost to Gamrot in June. He doesn't have a
I
fight scheduled
do
yet.
not think Macchiano is going to want that fight.
I mean, you want to start climbing the rankings, you don't really got a choice.
You
This
know what's
division
funny
is
though
not
is
easy.
did you hear his post fight interview?
Who Moicano's?
Yeah.
No.
Sorry. So the thing is for you guys that don't know, if you're not on the pay per view, you cannot cuss when you were interviewed because you were on regular television, and he's just cussing away, and the whole interview is just like him talking
Oh yeah,
and then
yeah,
bleeped
yeah.
out, and then him talking bleeped out. Like I didn't catch like any of it because it just kept getting bleeped. You
Yeah,
can't
no.
cuss when you're freaking like I know you're hyped up, you don't understand, but like your message didn't get across, bro. No one heard you.
Yeah, not only that, but his like broken Brazilian like English was so funny because he's like New York was fucking awesome, and I'm
And
just
then it'd
like,
be like New
yeah,
York,
bro.
dead silence.
And
Yeah, I mean,
everyone
I
is
like that I like that Hooker or Jalen Turner fight for him. Honestly, I think those are both good for him. For Brad Riddell, dude, I don't know, man. I
good luck.
honestly, yeah, I don't know. You might get cut.
um, Honestly, this kind of lightweight division is turning into somewhat of like a boxing division. Like you lose and you're done.
Yeah, it's just too. There's just so much depth. Like every guy in the top 15 is good.
Yeah, through 8,
Dude,
like
and
these
not
guys are
only
all
is he on a
murderers.
3-fight losing streak, it's a 3-fight finish streak, and the last 2 in the first round. He's gone. Yeah, he's gone.
Call raps. Call up your buddy Dom. Go take over the PFL. Do it.
Or you're already in the Western Hemisphere, right? In Australia or New Zealand,
No, that's Eastern
Eastern
Hemisphere.
Hemisphere. So we're Western Hemisphere.
Yeah, I believe so.
All right,
I believe
so
so. You know what?
yeah, can we just make sure? Because I think you're right too, but I feel like this is one of those things that make us
Yeah,
look.
yeah, 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 yeah. Western Hemisphere uh, is the part of Earth comprising North and South
Okay,
America.
okay. So you're already on the Eastern Hemisphere. Fight for ONE FC, bro. You're gonna get paid
They allow
bag.
legalized murder.
Yeah.
Hell
That
yeah.
honestly would prefer that would honestly like play better into his style.
I mean, maybe not for Dom because Dom may die, but Brad, I could see some
I
success.
could see it with Brad. But yeah, let's get to our main card now. Wow, what a fucking main card. What a whole overall card, first of all. But I mean, we
Okay,
start off with Hooker versus Puelles, and very
Puelas.
boring, very boring. And Puelles just tried to what? How do you say it?
Oh, I was just making fun of his name.
Uh,
Puelas.
Puelles literally just ass scooted the entire fight trying to get a knee bar. And I understand that the Imanari role and the ass scooting works against shittier guys. But regardless of if you like Dan Hooker or not, he is a veteran in the game. He has fought the baddest motherfuckers in the division. You're not going to get that shit on him. He landed a fucking beautiful liver kick, shut or sternum kick, excuse me, shut it down his body to finish it off. Um, I mean, yeah, it kind of was just like Puelas going for a shit, Hooker getting away, Hooker piecing him. Puelas going for a shit, Hooker getting away, Hooker piecing him. And then he hit him with that sternum front kick, and it was over. But yeah, I don't really have anything more to say on that fight at all, actually.
Yeah, the only thing I was gonna say is Puelas kind of revealed his weaknesses to the UFC fans. This card did not do him any justice. Even if he would have won in the later rounds, I don't think anyone would have respected it just based off the fact that he's so one dimensional in his game
Mhm.
planning that he doesn't allow any versatility. Like you got to remember, this is the UFC. This is mixed martial arts at its peak. Like this is supposed to show every facet of the fight game. You know, you are supposed to be an exemplary student of the game in all regards. And if you're just going to stick to one thing, it's not going to work. Even with guys like could be even Islam, who you say, oh well, they're primarily just wrestlers. There's a difference between just a wrestler and sambo wrestling. They specialize in beating your fucking ass in the ground and pound aspect. You are literally just going for lead locks the entire time.
Yeah,
That's
and
all
the
you
thing
show
is
them.
too, Zach, is like, first of all, you should never, if you're in the UFC, this is not 2008. You should not be one dimensional ever. And that doesn't mean you have to be phenomenal at the other stuff at all. It does not mean that at all. It just means you should be comfortable enough and be able to be able to use it. And also, if you're one dimensional, like one dimensional like Khabib, or you're one dimensional like Islam, right? You set it up. You hide it. You hide the fact that you're one dimensional. You don't go out there and ask you and be like, "This is all I got." You set it
Yeah,
up. You throw hands for a takedown. You throw leg kicks, even if they're ugly. Like you give other things. Like even if he just went out there and just threw jabs and leg kicks, right? That's still 2 other things Hooker's thinking of. But when you're just ass scooting, the only thing he's thinking of at all is you pulling guard. So he has no fear of your striking. So he's already stalking you down. Like literally, he could have just hid behind a jab and thrown leg kicks, and then eventually done it because now Hooker's like shedding punches and like eating leg kicks. His legs getting tired. He might not be able to grapple as well. But like he, I can't emphasize enough the fact that he didn't do shit. Like he just didn't do
yeah,
it.
yeah. Not only that, but for Puelas, you're kind of looking at him like, yeah, we get it. You're primarily a grappler and you're going for one type of submission, which was the leg lock. He's literally just going for knee bars.
Which he hit his last 3 fights. So like he obviously
Yeah,
is good at it.
yeah, no, he's good at it. But, you know, from a casual fan, this fight wasn't good at all. But you had that one moment in the first round where Puelas looked like he did get it at first. He locked it in, but then you see Dan's experience in the fight game kind of show when he showed unbelievable submission
I
defense, like
also
just
like
constant.
to piggyback off that, Dan's composure was beautiful. So I remember
Yeah.
watching it and he got it in deep, and Dan was like, "Oh fuck!" Dan's very calm. He's like, "All right, I need to do this." That and that shows, like you said, with his veteranism. Like he understood. He wasn't. There's no reason for him to freak out.
Where my curiosity lies is who in Dan Hooker's camp did we think was that like well renowned in their grappling that he could have worked with to
I
kind of defend
personally
against that?
cannot think of a single person on
That's
just
because
jujitsu. Just jujitsu. They
yeah,
have good wrestling there. Volk's wrestling is very good. Dan Hooker's wrestling is not even that bad. But pure jujitsu, I don't know. I do know. Oh no! I do know they're very close with Craig Jones, so I could see
okay,
them bringing Craig Jones in because he's an Aussie as well, and having him work with Hooker. And I mean, no one's jujitsu is better than Craig Jones and pure jujitsu
because
at that
that
level.
because Puelas's grappling is insane.
Yeah, very good.
Anyone,
If he would have gotten it, it's over.
yeah, easily. That's why like once you lock in a leg lock or once you have a hold of someone's leg, it's very hard to get out of it.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't know, Gordon Ryan has kind of built his career off leg locks these days.
That whole
Like that's
Danaher
just
team, that's what they're just known for.
yeah, like it once you have a leg, like once you have someone's leg, ankle, knee, like anything, it's pretty much over the jujitsu game at this point, and it's kind of showing with fighters like Willis. But at the same time, you have someone that knows how to defend it well enough. You're fucked. Like your game suddenly vanishes. You can't get that. Can't get what you want to. It's over. Speaking of, it's over. Frankie Edgar, man, end of a career. This was brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is his what third fight in a row where he got absolutely murdered.
His third fight in a row where he lost and got knocked out. It's his fourth fight in 5 fights where he lost and got knocked out. His only win was split decision over Pedro, which I don't think anybody agrees he won that fight.
Yeah. Um,
And
Poor guy, dude.
three of the four knockouts were in the first round.
What were his knockouts again? We have Gutierrez with
He got knocked
Sandhagen
out
one of them.
by Jung, and then he got in the first round knocked out by Sandhagen, knocked out by Cheeto, knocked out by Gutierrez. Remember Cheeto hit him with
What
the
was the
front kick on the Colby card?
dude? So you're telling me this man got Sandhagen need, flying need, Cheeto front kick, and then Chris Gutierrez need right to the dome.
Yeah, like
And
he it wasn't like an Izzy knockout where he was like kind of there. No, this man went to bed. He was
yeah, no,
out.
like when the shoulders lock up and the arms stiffen, that's when you know like you are out
And also, dude,
cold.
when you're 41 years old and you get knocked out, your body don't recover the same from that as if like you and I got knocked out. Like you're old as fuck, you know. But hey, I'm not
Oh,
here to shit talk Frankie Edgar, man. First of all, before we give him his respect, let's dive into the fight itself. It looked exactly like the other three fights. He went in there. He does his Frankie Edgar like his head movement is beautiful, but for some reason he can't see a knee coming. Goes in there, does his normal Frankie Edgar box and shit. He only landed 2 strikes. I mean, it was quick, bro. I mean, what 2 minutes in, they kind of was feeling, and then no, I think Gutierrez
oh,
was piecing him a little,
a little bit.
but it
My
was
thing is
just
with Edgar, bro, his fight style is he's still so catered to that old school style of like it's strictly stand up. Like Muay Thai really wasn't like a part of the UFC by then. So like with his boxing, like he'll throw jabs, but instead of like dipping out or like rolling to the side, he always just like
yeah.
ducks. Like he tries to duck.
He's a turtle fighter, 100%.
Yeah, yeah, huge turtle fighter. And the problem is guys see that in their camp, and all they train is feint knee to the face
Yeah, exactly.
or feint flying knee,
He's gonna come
feint
down to it
front kick.
anyways. Might as well fucking bring it.
Yeah, bring something to meet him there. And for the past 3, 4 knockouts,
Yeah.
people have met him pretty generously with some murderous intentions.
It was
And
cool to.
unfortunately,
I'm sorry, you finished.
yeah, I was just saying, unfortunately for Frankie, like that's the end of him. Another thing I'll say is I don't know if I respect Dana for it, but he brutally sends his fighters off into retirement.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
he has a horrible way of being like, "Oh, you've done so much for us. I'm going to literally watch you die
yeah.
in
You've
front of
made me
millions."
millions of dollars, so I'm going to get you killed. Like
Yeah,
what?
no. He like saves them. He saves them for like a decently big card, like MSG. He's like, "All right, I'll let you retire in front of New York." And like for Frank, he's like, "Yeah, man, I get to go out in New York, like my hometown. Like, fuck yeah, like this is all I wanted." And then he's like, and then he finds Chris Gutierrez, and he's like, "I need you to murder him
Yeah,
in front
kill
of
him.
everyone."
Well, they
Yeah, like
used the you're correct, bro. They use the retirement fight to sell the card because like everyone like there's definitely people out there 100% that watched this card because it was Frankie Edgar's last fight. 100%.
yeah,
100%. He's the first ballot Hall of Famer. But instead of giving him like a cupcake, they give him a fucking murderer. But
yeah,
yeah, man,
but
it's sad to watch Frankie retire. I'm glad he's finally fucking doing it. Like as much as it hurt me to watch Georges retire, and as much as it hurt me to watch fucking Cowboy retire, it's like you got it's time, guys. Like it's time. It was really cool. I mean, they tried interviewing him after, and he couldn't really like say anything. And all the people with me watching the fights, like, you don't think like he had something to say? I'm like, he doesn't remember where the fuck he is right now. He has no idea what he has. He doesn't. He probably dead serious, dead serious. When Joe Rogan interviewed him after, and he did his retirement speech, he probably had no idea what happened in the fight. No idea. He
yeah,
probably didn't have a fucking clue.
yeah. He had no idea what happened, and then Joe was like, "So how do you feel after that loss?" And then it was
Yeah.
like, so then in his mind, Edgar Shane's like, "Okay, I lost."
Well, no, he knew he got knocked out because you're gonna feel your body and like they woke you up. But he has no idea what happened. He probably didn't know the round. He probably didn't know how. Like he probably didn't know
Yeah,
shit.
yeah. Like, well, Frankie, they brutally murdered you again. Um, I have to do another CAT scan, unfortunately, and your career's over. So enjoy
Um,
retirement.
so yeah, that was cool. It was really cool too to see Gutierrez, how the fuck you say his last name. He started
Chris
crying after.
Gutierrez.
He's like, dude, he's like, it's awesome when you get this fight because you get to fight a Hall of Famer. He goes, but it's so depressing that I'm the reason I just ended Frankie's career. And he started crying, getting emotional. Because I mean, dude, Frankie's a pioneer. He's 100% a pioneer of the sport. I mean, we talked about it when we did the preview of this card. He was weighing 160 pounds, fighting at 155, holding the
Mm.
belt, beating ending BJ Penn's career basically. Back to back fucking wars with Gray Maynard, war with Benson Henderson. I mean, war with Max Holloway. I mean, the dude put on fights. First ballot Hall of Famer. I hope nothing for the best of him. I hope he can get into coaching and start getting into that side. But yeah, dude, the fight game is no longer for you. In terms of Gutierrez, whatever his name is, he jumps into the
Gutierrez.
rankings at 13 for the first time. Zach, who do you think you should give him? I wouldn't mind Ricky Simone. That'd actually be pretty a fucking electric fight,
Yeah,
actually.
that was the first one I was looking at. My only problem is Ricky's last fight was in July, so he may be trying to fight a little bit sooner, given that Gutierrez may
I
need to
could see
rest a
that,
little bit.
yeah.
Then again, Gutierrez didn't take any damage. I don't know when he's going to be cleared. I don't know how long he likes to wait for his fight camps. That's another thing people have to realize is not every fighter is built the same. Some guys like to take their time to fully recover, like completely just kind of like reset themselves. Other fighters, if they're ready to go after a fight, they want to stay in that groove. They're like, fuck it, I'll just cut weight again, get right
Oh
back to
yeah.
the
Well, I
fight.
mean, dude, even like from my perspective, I have teammates that need a camp, and I have teammates that don't do camps and they just stay ready year round.
Yeah.
It's all depends on your body. Like I stay ready year round, but I stay ready where I'm like a 2 to 4 week camp, mini camp if I need it. I can't stay to the 100% of the time. My body doesn't work that way. I just can't. But I have teammates like
Yeah.
my teammate Carlos. He can train at 100% every single day, every week. Like it doesn't matter. Like his body just
Yeah.
responds that way. You have no idea. Also, like understand Gutierrez. I'm sorry we keep mispronouncing your name. He might not have taken that much damage in the fight, but who knows if he had an underlying injury going into the fight? You have no idea. You know what I mean? So maybe he was like, all right, now we need to nurse this now that we have time. But yeah, I think that Simone fight's good. I also think the Pedro fight wouldn't be bad.
See, that's what I was looking at because here's the way I look at it. Ricky Simone at least is coming off a win in his last fight. He's probably going to want to look to fight up. So it'd be unfair to kind of just throw Gutierrez, who's below him, at him. Doesn't really prove anything for him. Pedro, however, coming off of that no contest to Sean
With
O'Malley
Sean,
back
yeah.
in July. Yeah, he's kind of been inactive, just not really doing anything. Um, I'd like to see him there.
That'd
If
be a
not,
good fight, dude. That'd be a very
if
good fight.
if not, since Song Yudong did kind of get murdered by Corey, or not really murdered, but like
I
since he
think
lost to
Song's still too high for a 13.
maybe the way I see it is like if you want to build Gutierrez, give him Song as like a tune-up fight, and if he ends up beating Song, then like hey, you can just like
I
throw him
think
up there.
I think Pedro's going to be a good fight for him. Pedro's kind of a gatekeeper. I love Pedro. I'm not shit talking. He's one of my favorite fighters.
Yeah, no,
Great
Pedro's
guy when I
nasty.
used to train with him. Only fights dogs, but I think if he beats Pedro, you give him a top 10 guy.
Yeah, honestly, just give Chris Gutierrez to Sean O'Malley.
Bug it.
Yeah, like just throw him out there. If Sean wins, he's the true gatekeeper of the division at this point. I don't know if y'all have seen this, but Aljo just can't ever shut the fuck up. This dude's like, oh, I want the money fight, and I think that's Sean O'Malley. No, the fuck, that is not a money fight. That is you want to defend your belt against a guy that you know is
Has
not
no
supposed to
ground
be
game.
there. Yeah, has no ground game, and you just want an easy win, you little bitch. God, I wish Marab wasn't a part of his like training camp because I want to see them
Yeah,
go
they'll
at it.
never fight each other.
Yeah, but they'll never fight each other.
And I don't
Aljo's
blame
too
them.
big.
I don't blame them. If I was in that situation, I would do the same thing. If me and Carlos or like me and Steve-O or me and Edgar were in that situation, I would not fight them. Mm-mm,
Oh yeah, no,
wouldn't do it.
and I don't blame them. Um,
Unless Dana was like, look, you each getting 10 mil. Then I'm like, all right, Edgar,
yeah,
we're gonna beat the fucking shit out of each other.
yeah. One time, yeah, like one of those bets where it's like, would you beat the fuck out of your friend for $10 million? Like I would slap the
Yeah, I
fuck out
would
of my
fight
friend for a
any single
McDonald's
one of my
Sprite.
friends for 10 million.
Yeah, sorry. It's just got to happen. Unfortunately, yeah. Aljo's too busy booty chasing Volk, and Volk's too busy booty chasing Islam. It's a clusterfuck here in the
Everyone
UFC.
wants to fight the person that everyone wants to fight someone except the person they're supposed to fight.
Yes. And Dana's probably having a terrible time scheduling fights because you have some guys just being like, "Give me anybody, please." And you have other guys being like, "I'm only going to take this fight if the full moon is out on this day in
Yeah, in this
September."
arena, and you have to pay me this much, and I need these people in my corner, and I need my mom to
And
have her own private jet.
oh, and even though I haven't fought for a belt in 10 years, it better be a main event fight and it better be 5 rounds.
Yeah,
Even though I haven't
Jorge.
fought 5 rounds
That's
in
some
8 years.
Jorge Masvidal shit right there, bro.
Yeah, shut the fuck up, Jorge. Like you're getting whoever we feed you to just because you had one goddamn little streak. You think you're top shit. Shut the fuck up.
But yeah, man,
Outside of that,
our next fight was definitely fight of the night, without a doubt. And I feel like everybody and their mom knew it was going to be good old Mike Chandler versus Dustin Poirier. Real quick,
iron.
Zach, I'm gonna let you start this off because I'm gonna try to pull up the scorecards because I feel like it could have been Mike 2-0.
Yeah, it's the Iron Man versus the Diamond. Look, this was a war, and we kind of knew it. My thing is Michael Chandler is the greatest first round fighter in human history. This man does not know what the word gas tank means. It is strictly, I'm going to try to murder you off rip, and if I can't get it done, then oh well, I'll get fight of the night, or I'll earn some performance
Yo,
bonus
so
because
actually though, it went round one Dustin, round two Michael on all three cards.
how's that possible?
Because remember, this is what happened in the beginning of round
Oh, it
one.
was in the third. They made it to the third. What
Yeah, he
the
submitted him in third. So look. If you remember what happened in the fight is Mike came out hot as hell and started rocking Dustin off rip, and then kind of gassed out and like halfway through the round trying to go for the big shots, and then Dustin started getting in his rhythm. Then round two, Mike takes him down and just fucks him on the ground. Dustin gets up at the very end, pieces him a little, and then round three, Mike's just gassed. His nose is broken. He can't breathe out of it. He's breathing out of his mouth. That kills your cardio. Also makes your jaw open. And then Dustin started tapping it, got his back, took him out with the rear naked choke. Listen, I love Michael Chandler. I'm not talking any shit about Michael Chandler. I'm a fucking big Michael Chandler fan. He fights at a Deerfield Beach. Like he's a fucking dog. You want to talk about a dog? He's fought the best fighters in Bellator and the best fighters in the UFC. He does not shy away from fights. And every time he fights, he's in it. It's a fucking electric. He never gets mocked. I just think he's the kind of guy that like can hang and put on a show and fight all the guys at the highest level. I just don't think he can beat them. And I don't think it's because he never could. I think he just came to the UFC a little late. I mean, he came pretty late. He was making bread in Bellator, and I don't blame him whatsoever. I just think it's hard, and the way he fights, it's hard to beat guys like that. He's still a monster. He's still unbelievably talented. But I think the fight that makes sense right now is him and Connor. I really do. And I hate talking about Connor and I hate bringing Connor's name up. But he's been showing so much respect to Connor and talking a lot about Connor. He's still number 5 in the world, so that's still a draw for Connor. And me and Dana were talking about the other day. Michael Chandler's a huge name in sports right now, not just MMA, but in sports. Because every time he fights, it's fight of the night. And he's got that following with Bussin' with the boys. He's a big name in the fight world. He's electric. He sells out. You make him and Connor a main event pay-per-view, people watch that shit. And I think for Connor, it's interesting too, because he's not going to try to wrestle you. Michael knows that to take that fight, he can't wrestle you. And it's going to be a good – and the thing is Michael Chandler's a brawler, but he's not a technician. And Connor is. So if Connor could just piece him and stay out, I mean, it is a probable fight for Connor. It gets him back in. He gets to fight a top 5 guy, which is what he obviously wants. I don't know if it happens. I don't know if Connor ever fights again for the rest of his life. I would love to see that fight, though. I would love to see that fight.
Yeah, I was gonna go in a little bit different direction. Um, Chandler's coming off a loss. Gamrot's coming off a loss. I would like to see it.
I was seeing people say they wanted to see Rafael Fiziev versus Chandler and let them just fucking thug it out.
See,
The problem is when you
yeah,
fight a guy like Chandler, you have to be able to sell. He's not going to fight. It's not that he's not going to fight you because he's nigga good. It's because you're not going to sell, and he sells every time he fights.
yeah. See, because this is what I like about Chandler and Gamrot. Gamrot is going to try to bring the wrestling, and Chandler loves to wrestle. You know, this
Yeah,
guy
I
is
think
very
Chandler stuffs his shit.
exactly, and I would want to see it because if he's able to keep Gamrot standing and he baptizes Gamrot, that's another fight of the night right there.
What's
Like that
Gamrot ranked right now?
eighth. So after his
That
loss
might be a
to
little low
Beneil,
though.
after his loss to Beneil, he dropped down to eight. But dude, are you gonna keep giving Chandler just murderers? Like you just because honestly, he's just gatekeeping at this point. He's gonna sit in that because anyone below him, he's murdering.
Dude, I think you give him Fiziev. I think give him the only fights that make sense is Fiziev or Connor. I don't think he'll jump below 6.
Yeah, I think Fiziev will get
On the other
murdered
side of things,
personally.
Dustin Poirier is a fucking dog. All right. Said that Michael Chandler blew his nose on him with blood, which he did, which was disgusting, and he fish hooked him. And then when he fish hooked him, Chandler was like, "Yeah, my fingers accidentally got in there." And then I tried to get it out, and Dustin just started biting on my hand. He started so fucking savage. Dustin's a dog. Just dude, it's so hard not to be a Dustin fan, dude. He's just such a
I hate him.
badass, and he's so good, and he fights dogs, and he's just fun, bro. His takedown defense is fucking atrocious. He'll never touch Islam, but he's a
Yeah,
dog, fun to watch. And I think he said it in his post-fight interview, and I think it makes sense. With Islam now fighting Volk confirmed, Poirier Dariush looks like a fucking amazing fight.
dude, I think Beneil gets to do what he wants with Dustin. Look, my only thing with
I
Dustin
think you
is
give
like,
him either a main event fight night or a 5-round co-main event, and let him
yeah,
thug it out.
um, dude, Poirier is just so fake humble. Like he pisses me the fuck off. Like every time
Yeah,
his interview, he can never. Like Chandler said it the best. He's like, that's a guy that just can't win with grace, like ever. Like he just always has some shit to say after his fight, like whatever. But also, Chandler had the funniest thing. He goes, "Yeah, I did blow my nose, but like I gotta breathe, bro. Like, sorry, gravity fucking exists." He's like, "Not my fault. You're below me." Like, what do you want me to do? Just like turn my head to the side and be like, "Oh, let me just blow my nose to the
in the
side."
in the podcast, busting with the boys yesterday, he's talking about it. I can't remember what he said, but he was like, he didn't fuck with Dustin coming and talking to him after because he's like, we should talk to this whole fight. We should talk during the fight, and even after when Chandler lost, he kept shit talking to him. But the Poirier saying that he said it has to be one of the top 5 hardest things of all time. When he just walked up the mic and he goes, "Hey man, you're a dog. Keep your head up. Like I was scared to fight you, like in a healthy way, but without fear, there is no bravery without fear."
He definitely sat down last night and was like, "What quote am I gonna say when I
Nah,
beat this
that's
man's
hard as
ass?"
fuck though. They're both bloodied up. They're talking after the fight, and he goes, "There is no bravery without fear." That's tough.
Yeah, yeah, but the way I see it is like if you're Chandler and you just lost the fight and some guy walked up to you and just said some inspirational ass shit, I would just like
No, he
it would
said it
take
on the
every.
podcast. He didn't give a fuck about that. He was like,
I'd
"Fuck
have
you."
been like, bro.
Right after they kept talking shit to Dustin. He's like, "I don't care."
Yeah,
But
like oh, bro,
yeah,
fuck that shit.
I love Chandler. I love Dustin. Great fight. I think it goes good for both of them. Speaking on great quotes, I'm not a fan nor a hater. I just don't really care. But Jake Paul has probably the coldest quote of all time when he says, "If I could walk on water, they would say I can't swim." That is so fucking hard. That is so hard. You can't say that's
Oh,
not hard.
yeah, that is fucking hard. Jeez. As for what's next for Dustin in my eyes, um, this is just a fan in me speaking. I would like to see Poirier Gaethje again. Obviously, I don't think it's
Oh, I
happening
would
yet.
love Poirier. I think everyone in the fucking world would love that fight.
Yeah. Because honestly, I'm not giving anyone in this division fucking Islam. Like, we're just gonna have another Khabib title
Well,
reign for a while.
Islam's fighting Volk anyways.
Yeah, so I don't want to. No one's going for the belt. Just give me Dustin Gaethje again. Just make honestly, just fight everyone versus everyone, and just say, yeah, you have your rankings don't matter anymore. Like, fuck it. Like,
Well,
we're
I
gonna
mean, dude, that
just
top five, they could all fight each other.
yeah, fuck it.
But Gaethje won't fight Dariush because they're boys.
Fair.
I think
Yeah,
you do Dustin Dariush or Dariush waits patiently as he deserves the title shot, and then you do Justin versus Dustin, and that's going to be a fucking blowout pay per view 5 round bloodbath where they just stand there and fucking exchange bombs. But
yep,
after the
I
fight,
agree.
I don't know if you saw this clip. Dustin is like walking back to his corner, and Gaethje's there like in his suit with his girl and stuff, and like Gaethje walking up to him like, "You're a dog, Dustin." Blah blah blah. And Dustin's like, "Yo, like, thank you, man. We're dropping a new hot sauce tomorrow at this brewery. Come tabs on me. Like, I'd love for you to come and show 12 to 5." Like it was cool. It was a cool moment. Um, I would like to see the Dustin outside of the cameras and see like if that's the kind of guy he'd have been to Gaethje if there weren't cameras in his face.
Mm.
But I do think, like you said, that's just a guaranteed banger of a fight. Like that's just a fucking amazing. You could have Chandler, Gaethje, and Dustin just keep fighting each other in rotation, and I would watch it every single time, even if it's like the 30th time, because those
Yeah,
guys just put on a fucking show every time they fight.
yeah, I agree. Um, that's enough for that fight. I think we've said our piece.
I
I don't
don't
really have
really
much
have,
to say about this
yeah, I
next
was gonna
one.
say I don't have a lot of words to say for this next fight.
Yeah, yeah, this was our
It
lock
kind
of
of
the
went
night.
exactly the way we said it was gonna go.
Yeah. No surprise here. Whaley won the title again. This is just going to set up for another Rose rematch, like we all expected.
Well, dude, speaking on that, did you see how unsatisfied she was when they gave her the belt?
I'm
She
going to
like
be honest.
didn't give a fuck because she knows it doesn't matter if she doesn't beat Rose because for the rest of her career it'll be you were the best behind Rose. And
Yeah,
I remember sitting there with Gaffney and his girl said something like, "Why doesn't she look? She's not even smiling. They just put the belt around her." And even Gaffney was like, "She has to beat Rose."
yeah,
She knows in the bottom of her heart the only way that she's the actual best in the world champion is if she can avenge the Rose losses.
yeah, yeah. Because honestly, it's kind of the same boat as like even if Rob goes and beats Pereira and
He
Izzy
has to
takes the
be
belt
yeah,
back from
he has to
Rob,
beat Izzy.
it yep, Izzy's literally going to be sitting there every night thinking there. And speaking of Izzy, this was our main event of the evening, so let's just get right into it.
Yeah, wait, real quick though, real
Israel,
quick. Carla, don't give a fuck what happens to her. They gave her that fight against Rose. Should have never even had the title. And for Wei Lee, you give her Rose. Like there's no other thing that makes sense. And I don't know if you guys have watched the first two Rose Wei Lee fights. They're bangers. So like I
yeah,
am more than okay with them doing a trilogy. I did let them fight 10 times. I'll watch it every fucking time. But
yeah,
the only way Wei Lee can actually be the champion in the world's eyes and in her own eyes, which is the most important, is she has to beat Rose.
yeah. Honestly, give Esparza to Limos. Limos is coming off a win. She's third in the rankings. Just
Yeah,
for a
but no
second.
one gives a fuck about Carla. She's boring. She doesn't have a fan base. Like,
Yeah,
I don't really give a shit about her. But yeah,
that's all it
let's
is.
let's tap into the fight that everyone paid to
Yeah.
watch.
Our main event of the evening, the challenger, Alex Balatam Pereira, taking on Israel, the last stylebender, Adesanya. Now, we all know the history between these two. They were both former glory kickboxers. Pereira dogged Israel twice. Israel left to go
Well, in the
pursue
second fight, he was losing and finished him in the fifth round. Just like
our fight this past weekend. But like I said, Izzy had already lost twice before, went pursued another career. Pereira was like, I was only put on God's earth to track you down and murder you, so I'm going to do that. Izzy could sling crack, and Pereira would probably turn into Pablo Escobar if he needed to. If Izzy wanted to become a boxer, Pereira would probably get trained by Mike Tyson or some shit. Who
yeah,
fucking knows?
Pereira's sole purpose on earth was to just make sure Izzy's never happy in life.
Yes. I'm still convinced Pereira was never birthed. He just showed up as a 13-year-old in the Amazon jungle, and they kind of gave him a headpiece after he dragged a lioness through the jungle. I don't that that's kind of how
Just
I see his like
dragging a dead body
background.
by its tail.
Yeah, when they
No
do a
smile,
30
no smile. Just
yeah, when they actually talk about the Jungle Book, like he is Mowgli. Like he got trained in jujitsu by the bear, and then he just like fist fought a panther like every day of his life, and then murdered a tiger. But yeah. Anyway, this fight kind of went exactly how I thought I would, with Israel kind of winning the entire fight, but then like Pereira is just a literal walking zombie and just constantly just needs one shot. He is the Deontay Wilder of UFC. Like he's
He's
just
more. I think he's more technical than Deontay, though.
oh yes. Don't get me wrong. Not not so much as a raw fighter, but in terms of just like all he needs is that one punch. Like that left hook of his is devastating.
Yo,
It's like
but
Izzy was
Zach,
landing shots.
it kind of went exactly like we said.
Yeah.
If Izzy keeps it ones and twos and boring and stays on the outside, he wins. And look at the 3 rounds he won. The one he wrestled him, and then the other two he stayed outside. Did his Izzy got in, got out, got in, got out, circle, got in, got out, circle. Like he kept it moving, and he was winning. He like there was no argument on the rounds. Like he won those rounds. I mean, in the end of the first, he fucking rocked them. But in the fifth, his fans started getting a little bored, or Izzy got bored and he wanted to prove something like we said he shouldn't do. He opened up, and Pereira's the best counter striker in the fucking world, bro.
Yeah.
Like, and that's what happened. And we said it, bro. When you're the UFC world champion, it does not fucking matter if people think you're boring. It doesn't matter how you win. You stay the best in the world because at the end of the day, you're still the fucking champ. And I think that's what
Yeah.
happened to him. And I think that's what happened to Usman. And they opened up a little too much instead of sticking with the game plan, and he got slept. And Pereira is the weirdest champ ever because he's the worst mismatch for Izzy, but he loses to the top 10. Like he
Yeah.
gets mauled by anyone with like Rob kills him, Bo Nickel kills him, Cosmot kills him, that
Vittori probably.
Vittori too. Anyone that can take him down is gonna kill him. His ground, I don't know if you saw that. His ground game's terrible, like fucking awful, and it's not his fault. It's because he's 7-1 in MMA. And
Yeah.
also, imagine being the one guy that beat him. Imagine that.
It was his first UFC fight ever, and it was to a rear naked choke. It was
Oh, I
because
know, but
like a guy.
imagine being that guy right now. Like, yeah, I beat him. I beat Boathon.
Yeah.
You
Like
already
a
know he
fucking
has like a fucking dartboard full of knives with that guy's face on it in his bedroom.
yeah. Honestly, I don't know what's next for Pereira other than the Izzy matchup right away. I don't think you can give him anyone else. Honestly,
So
it would be
that's
the
where I
biggest.
wanted to. That's where I wanted to go with this, Zach. Do you think you do the Izzy quad fight instantly?
I People love to call it a quad fight, dude. It's only the second time in MMA though, and people got to realize that is completely different than glory kickboxing.
So,
Like
dude,
it's
the
so
thing is,
different.
it's like, yes, he's lost to him 3 times and been finished twice.
Because I can
So you
promise
could
you,
argue that and be like, yo, he doesn't deserve it. But at the same time, he's arguably the best, if not the second best middleweight of all time. Why
yeah.
wouldn't he get an instant rematch? It's a really weird position to be in, especially because Rob is fighting Costa already. Rob, you already know Rob is so fucking mad he signed that Costa fight because he's like,
Oh
fuck,
yeah,
yeah, he's like, fuck, I could be fighting for the title. But I mean, even Rob said it in an interview. They asked him, he's like, look, I'm not overlooking Costa. He's like, Costa can knock me the fuck out. He's like, that's a big motherfucker. He's like, but at
yeah,
the same time, he goes, I think my wrestling destroys. Uh, he goes, my wrestling beats Pereira if Pereira doesn't land a bomb on me. He's like, because people think Izzy's. This is what Rob said. He's like, people think Izzy's not that big. He's like, Izzy's a big guy, 6'4", like he's got a good frame. And then Pereira's just double his size, so he's fucking
yeah,
massive.
yeah. I agree. I don't know. I feel like if they do rematch right away, Izzy is literally going to meet with Kamaru Usman and wrestle for 8 months straight. He's literally gonna go to Khabib. He's gonna go fly out to Dagestan. He's gonna put on Khabib's little like hat, and he's gonna be like, "I'm a wrestler now." It's like that's all it
The
is.
best was when the fight right before the fight was happening on the memes. It's like Israel Adesanya. The meme
That's
post
literally
fight though, the memes from this fight I think have been the best out of any
yeah.
upset ever.
Oh, another thing that people need to realize is I get the argument, and you'll know where I'm going with this. I get the argument of going out on your shield. I understand you want to see the champ get fully knocked out, not just on his feet. You have to understand something. When you're that good of a striker, when you are stunned or out of it, I promise you, he was knocked out. But
Oh, he
because
was
he is
out, yeah.
trained, he has trained fighting for so long that you just know how to like sway. Like you know how to like kind of defend yourself even when you're out. Like that's just if you've been training that long, I promise you your body knows when to take over. If the ref doesn't stop that fight, all you are waiting for is for one uppercut or left hook from Pereira to land, and we are getting an Izzy 2.0 meme where he is laying on the canvas, Kamaru Usman style, looking into God's eyes out. Like,
Yeah, but the thing
and
that
that's all you're
bothers
waiting.
me too, Zach, is like the only people upset about the finish are fans. Izzy agrees it was a good stoppage. Mark Goddard doesn't disagree that he stopped it early. Izzy's coaches agree that it stops fine. Diana said it stopped fine. Like the only people that matter agree. I don't know why other people matter. And then I even saw a tweet that was like, the reason why Israel Adesanya is a better champ than Usman is because, or no, the reason why Usman's a better champ than Izzy is because Usman didn't have excuses to why the fight got stopped after his loss. And someone was like, bro, Usman didn't have a choice. He was fucking asleep. Like
Yeah.
he couldn't have argued the stoppage. He wasn't
His
even
eyes
awake.
were his eyes were going to the back of his head and he
Yeah.
was like fighting it.
Yeah.
Like,
Like
good
what?
God.
No, dude, the ref did a good job. He saved him. It wasn't a bad finish. Now, if he let him get knocked out, would that be fucked up? No, you let the champ sometimes die. Like that's part of being the champ. Like they're gonna let you lose your throne. But if that happens, who is he's out for a much longer time versus now he can get back into things and start fighting. I do think you give him the rematch. It's gonna sell fuck ton of tickets, fuck ton of pay per views, and like also like there's no rush. No one else deserves. I mean, what dude? Like Sean Strickland got knocked out by Pereira. Derek Brunson, I don't even know why the fuck he's in there. He lost to Jared Cannonier. Marvin Vittori lost to Rob. Cannonier lost to Rob. Rob lost to Izzy. Izzy also beat Cannonier and Vittori and Brunson. Paulo Costa's fighting Rob after losing to Vittori. Sean Strickland got knocked out by Pereira. Like, there's nothing else that makes sense.
Yeah. Here's another thing. Pereira jumped into eighth in the pound for pound rankings.
That's retarded. He shouldn't even be in the pound for pound rankings.
Yeah. Look, Dana, I get it. You want to put your champs in the power pound, but let's be honest. He is strictly in the UFC to be Izzy's kryptonite. That is
Yeah,
it.
he's not
I
doing shit against
I'm
anybody
I'm
else.
not I'm not even lying when I say this. I would not be surprised if he doesn't sign a rematch contract right away with Izzy if he just doesn't retire. He just
This goes back to
see it.
glory.
Yeah, just goes back to glory. And then if Izzy gets the belt back, he'll be like, all right, I'll take one more fight. And then beats Izzy again, leaves. Because
Yeah,
here's the thing, Glory is still riding Pereira's hype. I don't know if you follow Glory at all on social
oh yeah,
media.
they were posting, hyping it up.
Yeah, no, they're still on him all the way. They're probably going to bring him back after his MMA stint because like that's what I view this as Pereira. I don't think he fully switched over to MMA. I just think he did it for Izzy. And here's another problem I have. For the rest of each other's lives, you cannot bring up Israel Adesanya's name without bringing up Pereira, and you cannot
Yeah,
bring up Alex Pereira without talking about Israel
yeah,
Adesanya.
they they
Like they're
they need each other.
forever,
Yeah,
yeah, they're forever entwined in fighting history, and that like that's what it is. Like Izzy's probably going to end up having to name his kid Alex out of respect, and Pereira is going to name his kid like probably Mountain Killer of the Rain, and that'll be like, yo, that's Israel in my language, and then that'll be it. But yeah, that was it for UFC 281. We have some other fight news if we want to get this out of the way real quick. I know
yeah.
I
Just real
got a
quick, we
little bit
got
of time.
interim. So Volkanovski's jumping up to lightweight to fight Islam in February. For the lightweight title, going to be a good fight. I think Islam's size is going to be the deciding factor. I don't think it's a skill gap. I think it's a size gap. Since the champ is gone, someone else has to take the champ's belt and interim titles. We got Josh Emmett versus Yair Rodriguez. It's kind of weird because it's just like it's just like who could possibly beat Volk? It's like Max is they're just done trying with Max. It sucks. I love Max. I don't really know what's next for Max. But yeah, I think that Emmett fight has the potential to be a 5 round banger. They're both thugs. They both like to bang. Yeah, there's a lot of good MMA incoming in the or beginning of 2020, ending this year. From now until like midway of next year, there's a lot of good fights coming on that you should be excited for.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know, man. Not, I think Yair kind of walks away with that one. To be honest, I'm
If
not
he
a
doesn't get swept, because
huge.
Josh Emmett's got fucking bombs.
I will agree. Another fighter I'm kind of interested to see in that division, is Bryce Mitchell. I know he has a fight coming up, I
He's fighting
believe.
Ely Topia, Tarfia, something like that.
Tapuria, something along those lines.
Yeah, something
I
weird
don't,
like that.
dude, I don't know why he fights down because like he isn't coming off a loss, is he? No, he's coming off a win against Edson Barbosa. Like, come on, dude. Like, what's going on here?
Because he'll fight
This man's.
anyone, bro. He'll fight anyone. He called out Joe Rogan, bro. He'll fight fucking anyone.
Why did he call out Joe Rogan?
Because
Like,
he
for
said the
what?
Earth's flat and Joe's full of shit.
See, this is where Bryce loses me a little because, dude, you're so good at fighting, but the problem is you're from the middle of bumfuck Arkansas and
Yeah.
you hunt raccoons, bro.
Yeah.
Oh my God, like he would literally, yeah, like I know how we talk about some guys saying like, oh, you need to like be able to use your mouth and like be able to like talk your way into some hype. There are some fighters where in Bryce Mitchell's case, shut the fuck up.
And just fight. Wear
Literally,
your camo shorts
literally,
and fight.
when they give you the mic, just say, I love America, and you will gain millions of
Yeah.
followers. That is it. Say I love God, I love America, and I love beating ass. That can be your slogan. Hire me as your campaign manager. I will literally get you a title fight in 2 years. I'm just saying. Probably not even then. I can probably get you one on one. We'll say some dumb shit about how the Australians are stupid or some shit. We'll say literally just say Volk lost a war to emus, and I'm sure Volk will just be triggered by that and fight you over a T-bone steak. Who gives a shit? Regardless, any other fight news you got off the
That's
top
all
of
I
your
can
head?
think of right now off the top.
Yep. So per usual, shout out Dustin, shout out Leon, shout out Pereira, and yeah, shout out Dan Hooker, I guess.
And shout out
Sure.
Dan fucking Hooker, man. We haven't given him a shout out in a while. Shout out Dan.
Yeah, fuck you, Dan.
Yeah.
But
Thank you
yeah,
guys for
that's it from us
tuning
at
in.
Clockwork. So
We're going to drop more MMA knowledge as it keeps coming along. And we are also going to be following UFC Orlando in Orlando. Clock to the stove. Over and out.